this is Science Maps, the Kids Corner. So behind us, you see Adventures in Knowledge Land, which is a comic book that was done as part of the exhibit. We also developed all kinds of other kids activities because we believe it's never too early that you learn how to convert data into knowledge and into actions. And so what you see here is a number of hands-on exercises and also drawing books that are meant for younger audiences, but we don't mind if you pick one up and you start drawing your own adventures in Knowledge Land. So Medina is going to show you the My Science Story booklet, and they all can be downloaded from scimaps.org. So it's part of the website. So feel free to download the PDF file from there. And Medina will have to and hold it close to you now.
So I would like to present my drawing book, My Science Story. It was, sorry, thank you. It was created by Nicole Roberg in December 2005. And here we can see, to open the first page, here's the 7 main fields of the science. We can color social science, mathematics, physics, chemistry, psychology, earth science, and medicine. On the next page, we can find the different insects that we can color too, and the description to this. Yeah, and the last one, also coloring of the profession of entomologist. Yeah, and more information, and you can download this drawing book on the scimaps.org. Please feel free. Thank you.
So pandemic time, there would be many kids of different ages here. And actually, kids take not just coloring into their own hands, but also started adding stickers. And many, they put a sticker into their favorite map of science region. And it was really, really heartwarming to go into school classes this way and to hold up large format maps of science and to discuss where very famous scientists might go, like Albert Einstein, for instance. Where do you put him? He made contributions to multiple areas of science. Do you put him into the middle of those 3 areas, which might be nowhere land, it might be in the ocean, because these are different continents typically? Or do you cut Albert Einstein as a figure into 3 pieces and put those 3 pieces somewhere? Or do you have him move from one to the next all the time, because he really did cross-fertilize between those different areas? And this is also a type of discussion that we have in the scholarly realm. And later on, when Andrei Skupin is coming in, he might discuss and explain how this is solved and solvable using modern algorithms. So I hope we got you interested in that part, but also please do feel free to share those resources with others. Now we also have some hands-on activities for children. So we are going to take some of these elements away from the table and bring up these science maps. And now we have the world map of inventors. And on the other side of this slide in the puzzle map, you have the world map of inventions. And you can now pick your favorite scientist. And I wonder, Medina, do you have a favorite one? Okay, so you picked a mathematician. So now we have to put this particular scientist to the birthplace where he was born. And so you can start on this, and there's actually a kind of cheat sheet that helps you then find out if it's the right one or not. And so as a slide and seek puzzle, which you might remember from kind of animals, children, baby animals that need to be reunited with their mom and dad animals. This is very, very similar. So you basically slide and seek it to the area on the map where that particular inventor was active. And at the end, when you have done all of these, you twirl it around. So we can demonstrate this. see everything is not sorted anymore because these are different images. And so now you might like to pick one that is known to you. So I think that's where the cheat sheet is coming in that Monica has over there. So Monica, let's see. We take here the X-ray healthcare. Can you find it on the cheat sheet? It's the X-ray again. Just add it on here. Okay. Yes, so that's Ibn Sina from the Middle East. He's a physician and philosopher who wrote a famous medieval textbook that was used many centuries after his death. So you now would move that particular person to the, again, the place on the geospatial map where he belongs. And so as you see, it's non-trivial to do this correctly, as we have been trying to not just have experts from Europe and from Americas, but also have experts from around the globe. And so some of them you might be extremely familiar with, like Jane Goodall, for instance, others not so much. And again, you also see Albert Einstein here from Germany and physics. So we him and just move him to the right place. Now, you might wonder why we have two maps. Well, this uses the base map of the world as a reference, but you could also use the map of science as a reference. And for both maps, as you will see, we have the raw data, which you see on the map. And then we have overlaid watercolor paintings by one of the artists here in Bloomington. So you have a map that is much more familiar to you, but you also have the raw data underneath, which is fed by information on what science and innovation exists in different areas on the map of the world. So what we will do now is to swap out the world map against the science map. And then we might be much more comfortable inventors and inventions there. So let's try this. The map of science, and we have inventors such as Sigmund Freud from Austria. So here now we have the geolocations, but it's not necessarily immediately printed on there what kind of contribution Sigmund Freud made. So you have to know that by heart, cheat sheet to find out. And there are 2 pages and a back page. And there are 2 of these cheat sheets. So ultimately, I think it's to go ahead and play that game. And then again, as soon as you have placed all inventors here, you turn it around and you start placing inventions. So now, ultimately, we thought, oh, this would be so great to actually have this kind of game manufactured and shipped to everybody who wants to learn more about what globally has been contributed to science. Here, as you see, we really tried hard to have all areas of science covered, to have experts from around the globe, and to also make it more visible what is actually represented here. All right, so the next activity is that we wanted you to see more about that comic book. So let's go there, and we will first take the science map down. So we need 2 people to take the science map down. Right. And here now would be nice to just all have you sit around us, but with the pandemic, that's unfortunately. So what we will do for you is to have Medina go through the pages as we go here through the book. I will read it to you. And Medina just will go through the pages. So you have to go 2 pages up on the screen. Yeah, I can show you. All right, this is the cover page, and I hope it shows well. And then you just go page down. All right. Right. All right, Adventures in Knowledge Land. And by the way, this was a really, really nice collaboration. And maybe given that everybody is 6 foot away, I'm going to take off my mask here. This was a really, really neat collaboration between a comic artist who moved in with us with the CNS Center for half a year, and then went back and forth between New York and Bloomington, Indiana, and ultimately created this Adventures in Knowledge Land book. And what we wanted to accomplish is to communicate in a playful way, in a comic artist style way, how these maps are actually created. And so on the front here, you see different actors that are introduced. So there is Ron Opulent, who's mostly interested in money. He's the guy with the yellow hair. Then there is the doctor scientist, which you see right there. And then there's the curious Gina, actually modeled after my younger daughter. So she is the future of science, as we said. And I think she is now. She is studying chemistry. All right, so the very rich Ron Opulent, or maybe want to be rich gentleman, he is starting off with, I will never be able to find any information on world markets or stock trends at this rate of what I can read and just understand in terms of what knowledge is out there. This is one huge knot. And I think he's right. There is a lot of knowledge out there. And how do we better make sense of it? And then the scientist down here, a little bit frazzled and puzzled, he is just saying Amazonian brain fizzles, Scandinavian swine scurvy. Every time I study a new disease, it feels like I have a brand new symptom. And he is studying a book of disease. And Curious Gina is just like, oh, look at all these chutes and ladders, teacher. I want to go through those and have fun sliding. All right, so it starts. So now you have the next page, which is filled with really. There is Mr. Opulent again. Maybe I should just spend some money and hire a guide. And guides are good in life. Advisors are good in life. Pick your best advisors. There must be someone who knows the lay of the land. And Curious Gina is just like, neat, I want to play in the slides. Good idea, because then you learn. And the scientist is talking about so many curiosities to study. He's very curious. He is an explorer. And ultimately, they all see the same world, but they're exploring it in very, very different ways. Well, and then Mr. Opulent, he is, maybe I could charge for rides. So he's trying to now create a new idea of how to become rich. And the research scientist, he's just saying, oh, you could spend years and years trying to learn everything about these slides and about this data. And in the meantime, Curious Gina is going through the slides. She is shooting through them like a rocket. And then she's very excited that it actually works and works. And she's also interacting with these very curious inhabitants of this world. And the curious inhabitant is just saying, mistress, mistress, please, I can barely keep up with what you're doing. And then down here, you have kind of an annotation of the comic artist. And I think that's supposed to be me like 15 years ago. And I'm saying in my scholarly voice, the future of scientific research faces an incredible challenge. The valuable information that researchers work so hard to obtain, analyze, and record is threatening to overwhelm our pursuit of knowledge. You see, there are more active researchers now than there ever were throughout the entire history of science. That means that some areas of science can produce more than 40,000 papers a month. All of this information is filling up libraries, storage facilities, much faster than they can be constructed. In order to build upon and not just repeat the work of others, a single researcher is expected to know more text than anyone can possibly read in a lifetime. So how do we make sense of all of this? How do we make sure that we don't just repeat history? So we need to find better ways to do this. And I think that was also the ambition why we created that comic book. And I go on to say 15 years ago, no individual person or machine can process or make sense of such an enormous stream of data, information, knowledge, and expertise. Are we doomed to keep reinventing the wheel for eternity? Or is there a way out? This comic tells the story of 3 characters and their adventures in the land of knowledge. Select a character and enjoy the journey. So now all of you should pick one of those characters. So again, there's Ron Opulent, there's Dr. Scientist, and then there's Curious Gina. So pick your favorite actor and then just follow them along. Now, the comic artist starts out with telling that after a long and arduous journey, our 3 intrepid heroes have made it to Knowledge Land. In this strange world, little blue information sprites operate gigantic machines that create, shift, spin, redistribute, and process enormous amounts of information. The constant and furious motion of these materials is a confusing sight. I'm afraid that even the information sprites won't be able to manage this information flood for long. Will Ron Opulent, the banker extraordinaire, find the key to the world's investment landscape? Will Dr. Scientist be able to complete his research without being affected by mysterious symptoms, which are all over him, as you can see? And will Curious Gina find new and exciting things to discover? Let's continue and find out. And all of you, you have to stop me 5 minutes before because I don't have any watch on me. All right, so now we are on the next page. We see a different set of actors, and they are now trying to puzzle together a much larger map of the world and of science. Look at how many pieces of little maps they are gluing together to make a bigger and bigger map of more and more knowledge. And she's still trying to get these little mannequins to help her. And Gina is just telling, you can help too, little guy. I know how you can raise your, I know how I can raise your processing power into the stratosphere. And the little poor guy is just saying, mistress, please, I'm scared of heights. So I think it's a real combination of all the many different machines and algorithms they represent, and the 3 human beings that might be the solution, but we don't know yet. So I continue to read. This is the first moment we really see all 3 of our heroes working together. I, Jeff Hobart, this is the name of the comic artist who actually brought you all of this, enjoyed showing a little bit of these characters while playing off each other. Dr. Scientist is my favorite of the 3 to draw. I really enjoyed seeing the little scenes that are occurring on these pages come to life. And then on the other side, the counterpart is saying, cartographic maps of physical places have guided humankind's explorations for centuries. They enable the discovery of new worlds while also marking territories inhabited by the unknown. Topic maps, or maps of science, created from many large-scale scholarly data sets, aim to serve today's explorers navigating the world of science. And we already saw a lot of science maps today. And those of you which really stay for 24 hours, you will see even more of these maps. You see not only research areas, but also experts and their footsteps over the landscape of science. You will see institutions which rise and fall and collapse in some cases, and in many cases they collaborate today. And you can track also the emergence and evolution and disappearance of different areas of research. Like neuroscience is a science that's not so old. It's not even 100 years old, I would say. There are other sciences such as philosophy, way, way older. And there are new sciences which are just now coming into existence. And it's interesting how these sciences build on each other and how they help and encourage each other and how they give and take citation counts from each other. The maps which you see here are puzzled together out of knowledge and out of maps that were actually taken from the Places and Spaces Mapping Science exhibit. And you already had Bruce explain to you how this Wikipedia map came into existence. So that was the behind the scenes with Andreas and Bruce earlier today. And you might recognize a lot of the other maps that you see here. All right, and then what happens is that they create this humongous, huge map of all the maps that they can find, an atlas like a book of maps. Then we read again. So on my side, I say, from the first swing of the hammer and the first spin of the wheel, humans have invented and utilized tools to amplify our physical strength. The same is true for amplifying our intellectual strengths. While science and technology increase at a rapidly accelerating pace, human perception and cognition appear to stay nearly constant. And I think it's true. If you just look at how much we can remember, how much we can see, how much we can lift, we are basically the same, whereas technology moves and expands and it becomes smarter by the minute. So I think it's really a matter of us creating good collaboration with the machines which we are building. So while science and technology increase at a rapidly accelerating pace, we stay nearly constant. Therefore, computers are instrumental for augmenting our collective intelligence by performing calculations, mining and visualizing massive amounts of information, and connecting us to people across distances. And right now, when this pandemic is raging, it's really, really important that we have these connections. So please connect with friends, colleagues, neighbors, everyone, because we need these connections. We are very social animals. And we can use these machines and Zoom and everything we are doing today to stay connected, to stay human. Today, we have robots to do our dull, dirty, and dangerous work. So soon, those robots will become indispensable partners in our quest to master our ever more complex and demanding professional and personal lives. Virtual or real, robots will empower us to master the many physical objects and bits and pieces of information that we all depend upon. And I think this is even more true today. The comic artist, he is actually watching what is drawn, good for him because he's drawing it himself. He is saying, everyone is so busy. There are so many exciting things happening and our map has gotten so big that it has broken the atmosphere. Oh no. There must be more information in knowledge lands than we could ever imagine. And look, Curious Gina is giving our little robot friend a full-blown upgrade. Look what Gina is doing. She's a girl, but she's doing it. She is building this gigantum robot here. I hope he likes his brand new body. In the beginning, I was a little panicked about trying to squeeze so much action and so many simultaneous events into only 2 pages. But I'm really happy with the way both of these scenes turned out. So you get to kind of hear what the artist himself is thinking about his own comic book. Tracy Theriault, who happens to be Todd's wife, I think I can say this, added effects on all of the science maps, and she did a wonderful job of bringing the entire idea together. I wasn't expecting it, but Curious Gina's energy and exuberance make her the perfect amateur scientist and robotics engineer. Well, that's how it all starts. You start young and small, and this is the first step, and then you go from there. All right, perfect timing. All right, now this robot actually becomes alive. Look at this. And all he or she, I don't know what it is, says is, I hunger, I need input to process and connect. More sights, more sounds, process and connect. More books, more images, more text, more tweets. Wow, we already had tweets. Huh? More blogs, process and connect. And then I come again and I say, well, in 1934, Paul Adlai published the Traité Documentation. And in it, he argued that the book is an inconvenient and inefficient carrier of information that has to be decomposed and dissected into its components, images, schemas, charts, and tables for efficient information usage. So in 1934, Paul Adlai was foreshadowing the internet. And I don't know if he knew it and realized it, but he was basically saying that there will be a time when we sit in our armchairs and we can connect to other experts around the globe. We can access information from around the globe. We can be anywhere to connect and to communicate and to socialize. And so he also argued that, again, books are very imperfect in how they keep track of information because they don't help us so much interlink everything. And so he argued that no document could be properly understood by itself. Rather, a document's meaning becomes apparent only through its influence on other documents and vice versa. He said verbatim, all bibliological creation, no matter how original and how powerful, implies redistribution, combination, and new amalgamations. Going over to the comic artist, he's commenting on the scene, which he sees just like I see it, in a very different way. So he says, our Robert friend's appetite for knowledge is even bigger than he is. And he is pretty big, Robert. He's hungry and thirsty for all the information that he can hear, see, touch, or scan with his big electric eyes. But it looks like he isn't just keeping it to himself, he's changing it. These new flowers look a lot like our old maps. So what he actually did was to eat all this information up, and then he was bringing out seeds out of his mouth. So they just drop down, and then they start growing and interlinking more. So maybe if he can find enough information, he can make a flower bigger than knowledge land, or maybe a flower that's bigger than the entire planet. The use of seeds, flowers, and plant like felt, they perfect a visual connection to the growth, reproduction, and distribution that occurs in scientific and academic context. Each flower feels like a brand new school of thought, theory, or academic discipline, ready to grow, go to seed, and distribute into the wind and beyond. I really enjoyed doing what I could to make each seed and flower feel energetic and alive. And then you see this amazing tree growing out of earth. And you see that this tree has even bigger fruits that again fall to the ground, have more seeds, and grow more fruitful areas. And ultimately, some of our characters, they get to decide if they want to bite into this fruit and eat it and see and understand and gain all that knowledge. And actually, the scientist and the Ron Opulent character, they both start eating the fruit and they now understand. And Gina has a different idea. I think she packs it up in a Ziploc bag right there. And she has her own idea of what to do next. So I hope you all get to download your own copy. That won't be a physical one. You have to come here to Luddy Hall to get a physical one. Happy to give those out. But they are available online, so you can get them from. All right, Medina, thanks so much for guiding us through this comic book. And are there any tours coming up? Are there any Thursdays here at IU?
Yes, we'll come up, I believe, starting from April or March, and also Amatria birthday coming up in April too. You can find all the information on the cnsiu.edu website, Amatria section. And do you want to talk about submissions?
So we just checked, we have submissions to the contest. I believe we now have also uploaded the instructions that Eleanor Goldstone gave earlier today. So if you still need some help to upload your contest entries, please let us know.